curator, you guys sitting at the helms of affair, uh, how are we trying to change our action post the COVID world? We will try to keep the COVID portion out of it as far as possible. Let's call it realignment of our, working. Let's shape it in that direction and tune our answers accordingly. So the whole idea is talking about how are we trying to manage our teams post COVID? How are we trying to multitask? How are we trying to take the optimum output from each colleague of ours? How are we trying to establish their strengths, their weaknesses, and then trying to gauge them and give them new job roles and probably additional responsibilities kind of stuff. How are we communicating with our team? Every step that we are taking during the COVID or post-COVID times, how are we communicating with our teams? How much focus are we giving on their training? Because they need to understand hygiene in a much better fashion as compared to what it is currently being done. So, introduction, gentlemen, a formal introduction. I will start off with Mr. Benjamin. Mr. Benjamin is the CEO and founder of Mofo Hotels. In past, Mr. Benjamin has been associated with hotel companies like Wyndham Hotels, where he worked as a director of operations for quite a number of years. And personally, he is my guru, mentor, guide. You can call him anything. I've learned a lot from him. Thank you, Mr. Benjamin, for your time. And welcome,
so much,
formally welcome on board. Mr.
Thanks.
Mehul Sharma.
Thanks for the invite.
You're welcome, sir. Mr. Mehul Sharma, a well-known name in the industry. He has been the mover and shaker these days of an upcoming brand which is called Signum Hotels, expanding their footprints quite rapidly in India. And as he was rightly mentioning before the team, we're happy to know that you are looking at US and other, expanding markets as well. And I see an Indian company giving our footprint into a foreign global market is definitely a welcome sign for the industry on the whole. And I think Rupam should follow the bill. We would like to see feathers in Maldives.
Thank you, Ravi.
Great. So Ankur is a budding hotelier, and he's been in the industry for a while now and taken charge of Signum Hotels Director Operations. Wish you all the luck, Ankur. I'm sure with you Signet, not Signum, my bad. Signet will reach larger heights. Why 40? You may reach 100 soon. You should be able to sign up 60 hotels. Mr. Sarkar, if he's there live, he'll be very happy to listen to words. So these are encouraging words. I have been watching a lot of webinars. We see a lot of understreak of negativity that has been flowing in. So the idea was to create a series of webinars, get on board all the type of people from our industry. So we have done 3 series already. This is the third one happening. The first 2 that we did was for academia, and the second one that we did was for ecotourism and sustainability kind of stuff in tourism. This is the first one, operations, followed by a chef's and a general manager's webinar that we will end the entire session of 5 webinars. So welcome on both guys, and now I pass on the baton to Mr. Rupam Datta, and he's going to take the race from here. I will keep on chipping in here and there, trying to give my comments and my views, as well asking a few questions which kind of dibble my brains as and when I listen to your answers. So over to Rupam. Rupam, the stage is yours. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'll be muting myself right now. Rupam,
thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much, Ravi, for taking this. And in fact, we wanted to congratulate Servo for such a beautiful platform to bring in such reputed young hoteliers on platform who are really putting in a lot of effort to come back strong. So we will not go back what we have been doing for such long about COVID and all, as you rightly said, Ravi. We'll straightway come back that the session is called Working Together. So the perspective of as a hotel management company from Signum, then you have Mofo as well as Signet. All these are I can proudly say that very Indian origin hotel company and run by passionate hoteliers. Sarkar has been my batchmate. We worked together many years back, and he's done very well, just like how Mr. Mehul as well as Mr. Benjamin. So the question that goes to you, that what comes in your mind? I will, with the same question I go to all of you, that what comes in your mind when we are talking about working together for the for new ways of hoteliering and hospitality with the changes that's going to take place. How will you define working together going to be? Because you have partner of the owners who are owning those hotels. You have the customer who's doing business with you, and we have travel agents who are there, and also the employees who are there. So you have four things at stake. So how do you think that working together, according to you, will be going forward? I'll start with Mr. Mehul Sharma. Post that we'll move in on that.
So thank you, Rupam. I think it's a very valid question, and I think what you and somebody rightly mentioned out in terms of the silver lining coming out of this particular crisis. So answering your question, I think the way we need to put the entire perspective together would be a minimum common agenda program in which we as an industry, first of all, I would rather call it an industry and not a mere segment which produces 6.2% of the total in all that stuff. One is we need to have and now speak one common language when it comes to any references or any discussions when it comes to the government of India. So giving the industry a status, and secondly, a common minimum agenda program is extremely important. See, please understand, you, me, Dipinder, Sarbinder, individually, we cannot do anything till the time we do not have the support from the government, which is both center and state. Considering a lot of schemes have started and have been launched in terms of schemes like Dekho Apna Desh and Atmanirbhar and all that stuff, but I think that needs to transform into real-time actions, what is required for the companies, which is indigenous, inborn, born in India, made in India, make in India, to ensure that tourism gets true. I think whatever steps we need to take, we need to have a very strong concurrent list of the concrete measures which we intend to take, and have the local abiding authorities, the government, the local municipal corporations, the state government, and the central government to work with us. Like a typical example of controversial stuff is Delhi government asking to open the hotels and LG overrules the order. I mean, these are the steps which hinders the performances of the properties and creates a very negative impact and moods in terms of the hospitality industry. Although Mrs. Sitaraman has said that they are in final stages of working out an MSME package for the hospitality industry. But I think the common platform should be one in terms of joint ventures, a lot of mergers, acquisitions, a lot of identification of common agenda to push domestic tourism from a current 10 million to roughly about 20-25 million in about 1 or 2 years down the line. And then work accordingly in terms of pushing tourism across the states to get. See, it's as simple as that. If we get our domestic tourism right in terms of a number, pure number, the entire industry is back on its
true.
We don't have to depend on anything else. We don't have to depend on inbound. We don't have to depend on charter. We don't have to depend on anything. Simple steps to promote and push domestic tourism will really do wonders. So I think to answer in a nutshell is common platforms, a lot of JVs which we have to offer, which somebody possibly does not have, or somebody has, it does not have. A lot of SPVs which can be created, which are special purpose vehicles, which brings in a lot of cohesiveness to make sure that all of us work together is the way forward. This is something
excellent. I think that's a very, very good site, Mr. Mehul, you have actually projected here on your introductory speech. I move into Mr. Benjamin to let you know, I mean, Mehul is of course touched upon the areas that where government and industry has to talk in one language. You know, let's have a common agenda, and rather than contradicting with each other's functioning, let's work together and bring in one common agenda, join together and support the domestic travel to take over. Mr. Benjamin, over to you to listen on the same line on this.
So definitely Mehul has put across two very important points on the agenda of the industries. One is to get a recognition as an industry. That is definitely the first priority that collectively all of us should focus on. That I completely 100% agree with him. Having said that, and I would not like to further speak on what he's already spoken, there are a couple of things that we really need to work collectively as an industry. And one of them is, as an industry, we've seen number of crises in the past also. May it be a 9/11 attack, may it be a financial crisis of 2008, or may it be a Taj attack. Out of the experience of these crises, we learned certain things, and that is what we need to use today collectively. Like, for example, if you talk about these attacks, before these attacks, our industry never was very proactive on security measures.
Securities.
Like, for example, luggage baggage scanners, or all sorts of ballards and all sorts of checkposts that we had, and we implemented those very successfully, and even the traveler accepted that, and today we are reaping the benefits of it. So with this particular crisis also, we need to engage in measures which build a confidence to the traveler to once again have a great amount of trust and have a great amount of confidence to come back to the hotels, to come back to our restaurants, our bars, our pubs, etc. And that has to happen collectively. There has to be a great message that goes across. Today is a very good time to use social media. People have a lot of time. There's a lot of work from home, etc. A lot of lockdowns that are going on. So they are engaging more into the social media. That's a good opportunity that we can do, but not necessary that everything has to go through social media. We have a number of hotels that have opened up. Simple things like, a guest continuously seeing that there's great amount of cleaning going on in a hotel, maybe a lobby, maybe a lift elevator, maybe a all the public spaces of the hotel. This will build a great amount of confidence. So collectively as an industry, I feel that we have to very strongly engage in sending a very strong message to our guests, to our customers, to the traveler, that we are ready. We are ready to welcome them back. We have taken all necessary precautions that are required to take care of the safety, the hygiene, and all other things that are important in today's date for making their stay very comfortable, and also getting that confidence which has lost, that confidence which is very low to travel again.
True, very nice.
Yeah.
Mr. Benjamin, I think it's going very, very nice direction, because Mr. Mehul has touched upon the talk one agenda, talk one language. You brought in the fact that it was very, very wonderful, to know that how the security has taken priority post this 26/11, and the process that we have now introducing in the hotel on the hygiene and safety and personal care, that go to a very standard level. So in every possible manner, the hotels are getting a new identity, a new place of more confidence. And with this process, you want to build confidence in the market, so the traveler feels that I'm going to a great hotel at you be it a smaller hotel or a large hotel. The safety protocols are same at all these places. I think that's a very, very good message. I move back to Mr. Ankur on how two areas are touched now. As a Signet Hotel, what do you think that your opinion would be in terms of bringing things together? Let's hear from you. Like, how do you think that we will...
Well, I would say that point that we said to Mr. Mehul and Mr. Benjamin are very, very valuable for the guests to first come into the hotel. The second part would be the technology. I would say that we will play a very crucial role in getting this embedded. Like we can have a lot of measures that can be put on a social media and all, but unless until your technology supports you, or you have that technology that really assists you, like we have QR coded menus, we have self check-in, check-out, but still it has to be educated to a level that people understand that. Like a lot of people who go to airport go with the pre-check-in. Same way, if the hotels also have the priority that yes, we will only do a pre-check-in reservations, that will be a confidence building measure. Apart from that, the use of AI and technology will be the forerunner of the hotels to get successful, and ensuring that hotels are hygiene, they are following the standards and all. It has to be on a greater level. In terms, the government also helping them to show that, especially the business segment or the business hotels should be classified. They are safe to go. The most hit part will be the leisure destinations that are really people have money to be. They want to go out, but due to lockdowns or due to fear, they're not going out. So if there is a standardization that yes, this hotel is good, they have followed all the protocols and they have technology, I'm sure the guests will return back here.
Excellent. I think that you touched upon the area that is very, very crucial now, that let there be a standard identity and technologies used in such scenario. Very, very nicely spoken. My second question goes to, I'll move into all of you, just like how did collaboration, working together. I would say that how do we, there are large I'll say that small hotel companies to large hotel companies. I have a personal feeling that currently with this pandemic, Mr. Mehul was some time back sharing about, on a personal note, that in the US, a lot of big brands have deflagged many hotels at a size which is close to 100 and plus, deflag them, and a lot of opportunity for the other. Now, how do you think that we can work together, don't look at just competition with each other, and look at making a common agenda, common progress? So how do you think, Mr. Mehul, will be good? What would be your message to all the hotel management companies in your way? I will not say advice, probably your wish that everybody takes away to do so. Yes.
Okay. So, let's understand the most important aspect of a business is profitability and the stakeholders. Okay. So whenever we do business, or whenever I do business, or whenever there's a business decision, at the end of the day, I only consider what is my earning per share, what is my EBITDA margin, what is the PBT, what is the PAT, and what sort of a balance sheet am I looking at the end of the year. And of course, able to give the decent return on the equity invested through my shareholders. Sure. Now, this is the broader perspective. The measures we talk today we're talking about measures of safety, hygiene, all that is fine. But at the end of the day, what appears is what is in your balance sheet. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you need to see if you are making a healthy return on the capital invested or not. Now, my simple submission here would be, there are larger brands. The way forward will be a lot of franchising options. The way forward should be a lot of third-party operations management. Way forward should be a lot of synergies in terms of certain brands which are extremely strong in terms of operations or sales and marketing, and certain brands which are very strong in terms of creating their own brand standards through special purpose vehicle. So SPV essentially, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of our audience understands the concept of SPVs, but that SPV does not mean that you're diluting your own brand. It means that an X brand joins with another Y brand, merges together to ensure that what are the possibly bring in and run and operate an asset to ensure that the profits are being delivered.
So true.
So if I am strong in, for example, I think Ankur mentioned about AI, and we've actually introduced AI through a company based out of San Jose in US, which actually gets our costs down by 8 to 9% by replacing humans with the artificial intelligence and robotics. And if a certain company or an owner which has 3-4 assets and does not have an exposure to this is where the opportunity should be. So bringing in certain platforms in terms of my strength or somebody, see where do we get lost? We get lost that this is my brand. I want my brand image to be there and here.
Very true.
Be there, and it doesn't matter. It does not matter. What matters is what is it that's coming into your money, into your bank account, and how debt free you are. We don't understand the nuances of business, that by doing that, if you're able to reduce your debt equity ratio 2:1, then why would you not want to do that? People
so true.
Heavy debts only to ensure that they get into and the kind of spend which they do in terms of building a brand overshoots their budget by multiples of 10 to 15, without realizing that somebody who's been a pro hotelier, he can actually ensure that the money which you're spending in something else can be spent in some other form, and you can create and run an asset.
Very true.
So in times to come, the franchising options, third-party operations, working under certain brands, cohesiveness in terms of the strengths of each other, leveraging each other's strengths, and without diluting the brand equity of a certain brand which has been created, should be the way forward. If I have a strong presence in Uttarakhand, for example, it should not deter me to join hand with somebody who's got a strong presence in South. Why should we not just create a separate entities altogether so that our brand equity is in place? By doing that, we are not only leveraging on the sales and marketing efforts, but also constructing and monetizing the real-time assets which has not been used in the last 20, 30 years. This, I feel, should be the way forward.
Well, I think that was very well spoken. You made a fantastic wish. I will always say wish because that's how the industry will like to hear you. It's a wish that Mr. Mehul has shared that let's be more flexible.
We're doing it. We're doing it. So in Sri Lanka, we've got the one of the best hoteliers across. In UAE, similar in US and similarly in Europe. They are people who've got the front end names in terms of their connection with the owners as a back-end support. What does it take for me to join hands and take over stressed assets?
Absolutely. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Absolutely. And that's exactly the thing what should be, instead of competing with each other, instead of going to one owner and competing with each other, might as well come and say, oh, fine, let's take this property, let's create a separate entity altogether and ensure that whatever 50, 70 lakhs which you make in a year, you make 35 lakhs, but at least the property is in the most professional hands. That's more
very true. Very true.
Competing against each other. Typically, the way hotels are functioned is you charge an X amount of sign-up fees. Somebody's charging 5,000 rupees less. Somebody's charging 8% management fees. Somebody's charging 6%. And you're cutting and there's a competition amongst yourself. Why not do it together and bring in value to the ownership? See, ultimately, at the end of the day, the owner has to feel benefited. Now, we need to think about the owners also. Reduce your fees down, work together, and give a maximum return because you are anyways entering into an agreement for 12 to 15 years. That is what I feel should be the way forward. Any of the forums, I would request you or Ravi that you get about 20, 30 owners of different companies. Work to, trust me, with the standalone hotels across spread in the country, we can make a very strong force to reckon with. This is what
very nicely placed. Very, very nicely placed. I think you have taken the dynamism to a very different, in a way, how you present it, you putting. I'm sure the viewers who are today registered and listening to these will make a note of it. At your level, please do have meetings and reach out to various investors and owners that, a flexibility is future. You cannot be stating that. Let's look at a market where the investors find, because everybody has lost a huge amount of investment now. The bank interest and all the way you pay, slightly changes in the operating process and slightly change in your business approach probably will be benefiting the owners as well as the management company, and directly, which is reflecting on, which will be seen by the employees. They will be more secure. They'll be more, stable in their progress. Fantastic, Mr. Mehul. That was a very, very good point. I move into Mr. Benjamin. Yes, with the same point. What would you like to share when it comes to when you have to working together? So, how do you think that, irrespective of various verticals and brands and positionings and all, and different entity, how do you think we can work together and make it a good statement for, as India could be a different way of functioning, and in place where a lot of people have now been rejecting, a lot of people are moving back from there to the India, looking at our country. So we'll want to hear you.
Completely endorse what Mehul has said, and he's covered a vast area of the inputs over there. But yes, having said that, I would like to add that yes, going forward, it has to be a lot to do with flexibility. It has to do a lot with adaptability. It has to do a lot with about being logical and practical in your approach, and a little less demanding. The brands have to be a little less demanding without diluting their brands, definitely. But at the same time, justifying the ROI, which is the most important concern. And also going forward has to be thinking out of the box. We also need to look at identifying not just the traditional way of doing the hotel business, but we have to look at many more avenues and many more ways that the hotel can come up additional revenue to justify the operating cost or the running cost, and at the end of the day, increase that bottom line and also look at a much more better top line. So in brief,
Fantastic.
it's about flexibility, adaptability, acceptability, and being more focused on ROI for the hotel as such, and thinking out of the box. That's what I think.
Excellent. I think adaptability, flexibility, and think as if there is no box, out of the box. It takes the approach, a completely different approach that both of you have suggested. So I think that makes a lot of value. Moving to Ankur, for your opinion on working together, I would always say, because Signet too has a large number of property currently, I think it's about third largest and fourth largest when it comes to signing new properties. So I'm sure you will be facing the similar, because you have some exotic locations, in India, and I would always congratulate Signet of taking up those destinations and reaching out to those areas. Domestic market, all three of your hotels has a great future. So what do you think, Ankur, will be your approach from Signet when it comes to the new to sort of sustain ourselves within next few years in Indian hospitality?
Well, so to sustain for the next few years would really look into the cost controls that would be there. And at least for 6 months, the cost control will feature a lot of emphasis have to be given on cost controls. The second feature would be to emphasize on the yield management that would have to there, and that probably the next two, it will, by the survey of JLL or talk about any of the companies, they say 12 to 24 months is the recovery period. But still the ROI has to be given, and maybe not at that level that used to happen post-COVID, but still now the cost control measures, the correct hiring and training, that is very, very essential for the new gen people and the new gen travelers who will be going in. That is very essential to have in, sir.
Excellent. Ankur, I think you spoke very well. What you're saying right now is that going by the expert, what they say is that, the next 12 months to 24 months, it's going to be tough. That's a time which is going to be making a lot of difference. So you're saying that, in fact, the entire panel is on a directions which says that whatever you're doing, the operating, the yield management has to be in place, and cost control has to be. And you just, as a management, you also have mentioned, which I like here, that you're not saying that let it not be just understood by the top management. Let it go down the line through a training that everyone, a core team who's operating the hotel, they have to understand for the next 2 years how we are going to operate. Very, very important. Very important. I think I'm very glad that, all three of you are giving different directions, and which is going towards the right area. That you talked about flexibility in approach. You talked about discipline. Mr. Benjamin talked about adapting to these changes now. And Ankur joining and saying that let this be a very cost-effective 2 to 3 years, and train everybody so that everyone is aware of how this has to be managed, and so owner gets a nice, owner gets a good feel that everybody joined together. Very, very nice. Moving into the third questions, we move in. Ravi, I just wanted to check, would you like to sort of bring in your question something before I proceed on my next questions? Ravi, are you there? Okay. By the time Ravi comes, let me put across my third questions. That there is a, working together. As you know, in India market, OTA plays a huge role, right? So I would move into the OTA's functioning. How do you think that we all can reach out to OTA and inspire them to also take equally responsible stand and work out a different formula? Because that's one of the key things that we feel needs to be done, that let's have a better understanding with OTAs. How do you think, Mr. Mehul, would you like to advise the OTAs to take over the next few years with different dynamics?
So, OTA contributes to roughly about 30-35% of the business of a lot of hotels. I also understand Signet has a large contribution of OTA going into their hotels. So primarily we see that a lot of in terms of corporate also moving through OTAs, and they've of course MMT, is the strongest player in Indian market, having captured about 67% of the overall ratio. So what we've done is we've approached, obviously we try to see how is it that we can reduce the commissions, although that's definitely not the only thing which they survive on. Having said that, we've told them to talk about the various factors in terms of health, hygiene, safety, which us as a management company has taken ahead in these hotels to be highlighted to gain a lot of trust and confidence in the travelers. So if you read today's Times of India, there was an article in which a lot of these smaller destinations, and they picked up destinations which is really unheard of, picked up by MMTs and of the world, and they're really pushing it hard to push packages like a staycation or a vacation and all that stuff. And these are primarily, if you see the websites of Goibibo, you will essentially see in terms of banner campaigns, compare it with the last 6 to 9 months, you will see a lot of smaller destinations are moving up the ladder purely organically by the keywords which people are searching in, which means
very true.
There is a very clear-cut shift of people sitting in Delhi, probably going to a place unheard of in Himachal Pradesh, but listed well on these OTA platforms. So I think the role which will be played by these OTA would be getting ahead in and displaying a lot more hotels, which is absolutely unheard of, giving a lot of confidence to the travelers, displaying the health hygiene certificates in their platform. In fact, they've undertaken these exercises through a company, through Deloitte. I don't know if you guys know, but Deloitte has been appointed by MMT to.
That's right.
They check each hotel and display a health fitness certificate. I think it's a very good thing. And thirdly, also come up with real good value add-ons in terms of either money in bank or a PLB, because that really will push a thrust or a pre-purchase for the hotel companies to run. We all have cash crunch issues nowadays, but it's important that we run certain campaigns along with these OTAs to ensure that there is a certain money which comes into the system. What is happening? Liquidity is not there today. The cash exists, but there is a pile of cash which is only with the banks, and that money is piling up. So till the time the money is not being boosted and pumped back into the economy, the economy will never move. We from a current stage of 1.5% of GDP, we are anyways in recession. But till the time the money is not infused back into the economy, it will never move. So as a very strategic step, what needs to be taken is that the OTAs must pump in money into the hotels, do stuff like a pre-purchase, take it at a bar less 10, 15, 20%, and give volumes and consolidate business with a lot of local small agents and push volumes to hotels. More than happy to give a rate of 3,500 rupees flat for the entire year with 1,000 room nights commitment, which gives me 35 lakhs straight away into the bank account. And as and when you grow. So that flexibility of this approach must come from these OTAs. Pushing for the companies, the health safety banners should come in. And of course, at the end of the day, it's all about money. They must come out with certain schemes which really infuses liquidity into the system.
Very nice. Very nice. That's a very good point that you have shared. Moving to Mr. Benjamin, what is your thought, Mr. Benjamin, about OTA could take shape up accordingly? What could be your way of advising them?
So, I agree with the percentage of dependability on the OTAs. Definitely hotels, a number of hotels do somewhere around about some 35% of occupancy levels from these OTAs. And in the coming 18 months, the dependability on the OTAs are going to increase, rather not decrease. Having said that, with this dependability on them increasing, I definitely feel that as an industry, there should be a collective effort to bring down the commissions. Some time back, there was a great noise in the market where a couple of states took a very strong call and they collectively worked to get certain OTAs commissions onto a lower platform in comparison to the high commissions that they were charging. And I think it's high time that the OTAs also understand that this is a sort of a crisis, a sort of a period that requires to be more practical and logical when we talk about the commissions and the payouts that are going. Because at one end, we have our operating cost, at the other end, there's a scenario where there's no demand. So, you know, and in a scenario where there's no demand, whatever demand is being generated, it has to be a great balance between income and outflow. So even the OTAs have to be a little sensible in handling this situation and coming down onto the commissions that they've been charging. It has to be definitely something which works for both.
That's
Both
right.
partners,
That's right.
may it be the hotels or may it be the OTAs, both cannot survive without each other. In today's scenario, definitely for the next 18 months, survival is for both of them very important. And there are a couple of hotels in the past, before COVID-19, they had reduced the dependability on OTAs, reason being the huge outflow of commissions. There were hotels which had brought down this for maybe a 40% to just a 15% or just a 18%, and specific to that window of maybe the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or, you know, when there's these huge holiday sessions coming in. So that's the time that they were using them. They would also now be depending a lot on the OTAs in the coming next 18 months to 24 months. So I think as an industry, there should be some collective efforts to bring down the commission structures, the payouts to these OTAs. And we've done it in the past. I'm aware it was done in the past. A couple of states just sort of got together and they just closed the window and, you know, sort of became very rigid that it's not going to open until unless this happens. So I would not suggest that way forward, but I would suggest that, you know, the OTAs have to be a little sensible on the commissions that they are demanding.
I think that's quite a practical, very, very practical. Yes, that's where I was moving in. And, you know, since we're talking about working together, even the OTAs needs to be joining hands and say that, okay, let's promote more. Let's accelerate the demand in a way that everybody finds confidence. You know, even a traveler who's traveling, he should also find that I'm getting a good price, and the hotel's investor also finding that, yes, there's a fair amount of commissions. It's not cutting up my pockets too big. And at the same time, OTA is saying that I've increased my vertical. I know I've gone into destination, which was not earlier. So, you know, with that, it comes. Ankur, I want to take your view on this part. Ankur, how do you think that we can reach out to the OTAs and make this as a common, you know, like, let it not sound like a boycott, but let's move in on a disciplined approach that we partner with them. I mean, say them that, let's work together on those directions. What is your opinion on OTAs? What do you think?
So what I believe is that we have to live with OTA. We cannot forego OTA because these are the major chunk of business. This has been tried in past as well, but still the amount of liquidity they have, they would easily overrule any website, or maybe a bigger or a smaller brand. So, but on the other hand, they must have built a lot of money when the post-COVID was there, and they were charging commission close to 18 to 28%, depending on Now they have made enough of money, and this is the time where they should reduce the commissions to a level the survival happens in. Because if the same commission happens in, hotel would get a very, very less amount in terms of actual yield is very, very less. So the first part would be the reduction in commission. That would be cohesive with all the brands that are therein. It should be equal commission. And the second is the cash burn. What they do is they should increase the cash burn for a particular 6 months or 8 months time, so that a lot of people now tend to move in because of the price. India is a very price sensitive market. So they can play that card and let the season come back. Let 8 months or 9 months come back. They increase the commission. We can always give it in writing. Yes, after 8 months or 10 months, you can increase the commission. And it should be a lateral move. It should not be a knee-jerk reaction that today we have come to 15%, tomorrow it will be 28%. So gradually, once the industry improves, let us commission also, let them also get, if they are supported now, we also will support them in the later stage.
Nice. And I think in this regard, also there has to be a sort of, as we say, there has to be a regular communication that's happening between the tourism department of India, different states, and the hotel body and the OTAs. it just creating the platform. I just hope that the pandemic brings a good platform, of Bonhomie, a platform where people trust each other. People feel that, yes, whatever I've got, it's the best thing that can come out. So building the trust will be one of the things that, we can work together. Very, very nice. So now looking at next things, my fourth question would be, I once again go back to Ravi. Ravi, would you like to bring in something from your side?
No, thank God my connection is back. Rupam, please carry on. I'll chip in.
Okay, all right. So I'm looking at investors. People or like in India. Like if you have to really look at how all of your hotel brands are slowly establishing their business and their confidence with the investors. Would you like to work on what is your individual brand's idea of getting a team who will, starting from the architect to interior designers to the equipment suppliers to various vendors? How do you think that we can bring down a very, very, what is the individual company has got anything on those lines or not? Because, if you can, owners find it very difficult at times to negotiate and come to a place where they get the best product. So as a management company, as an expert in the operations, would you not, what is your opinion of building a team of yours who will bring down the investment cost for the owners? Because if somebody has to really invest in hotels, for now they will be under fear that no, my returns will not be coming. So one side we are talking about a changing of operating style. I'm moving into the area where I'm saying that what role will you play to help the investor invest at a certain bracket, that within that I will deliver this quality? What is your individual strategy on that? I'll move into Mr. Mehul in the sequence.
Okay, I think it's a very valid question in current time. See, we do multiple projects. They are greenfield, they are brownfield. There is a mixed user development stuff. So when we do a PIP, typically PIP varies from a different amount depending on where your property currently stands. Now, what we've taken a conscious decision when we speak to investors is, even if we talk about the operational break-even, for example, it's a new property and we talk about operational break-even in 6 to 9 months time, we have started talking also about the return on capital invested, which means not only that the owner is interested to ensure that he gets the operational break-even in about 6 to 9 months time, but whatever is the capital which has been invested comes down. And he understands the time frame within 8 to 10 years. So how do we achieve that now is we have built up our own vendors, and these vendors which we build up primarily over the last years, having worked with Taj or the ITCs and all that stuff. So we clearly have a clear-cut advantage when it comes to pricing vis-a-vis an individual owner. Secondly, the cost per room, typically for a model of a 3-star deluxe, 4-star deluxe, which is essentially our model, which is upscale, we have drastically got down the cost from about 60-65 lakhs to about 35-40 lakhs.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, so we've done that, and we have now started getting into profitability per square foot. Means that the minimum requirement for a business hotel, which we're looking at about 275 to 300 square foot.
I'm sorry, Ravi, if you can just mute everybody and just, Ravi, you can just mute everybody and just have Mr. Mehul's speaker, because you can hear a lot of other sounds.
Ajay, can you go ahead and do it, please?
Yeah, somebody is banging.
Yeah, let's.
Okay, so how do you, for a property, so let's, when we do projections, we see 3 years, 6 years down the line, and typically I've realized that the P&L is closed at the GOP level. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I see that. So when you see the unit level P&L, initially what used to happen is the management companies typically operate at a GOP level. We never got EBITDA. Now I think it is important that it is important for an hotel management to get into EBITDA and prepare a business plan in which the owner not only understand that he's getting his operational break even in 6 to 9 months time or 1 year's time or whatever, depending on the, plus the money which he's invested 50, 70, 80 crores, there is a time frame which has been defined also in which he is getting his recovery done. So that purely happens on two factors. One is the cost of investment in terms of building up a room. So we've drastically down. We have our local vendors to the architects, which for us, they're based out of Mumbai. They understand the entire business model. And of course, the vendor management is extremely prudent in today's time. Even getting the food cost down, we've kept our food cost at about 18 to 19%. That's a standard which we have set across, irrespective of whatever happens, wherever we are, where we develop an organic food concept, which we are in ingredients, and payroll costs at about 14 to 16%. And HLP, for example, about 4.5%, sales and marketing at 2.5%. So these are the set parameters which we've defined, because we want to now ensure that the owner gets his return on the entire money also invested, either every year, and he gets his money back. So
very true.
Coming back to the owner's perspective, now it is important for every hotel operator to make them understand that, listen, we are here with the best vendors which we picked up with our collective experiences for the last so many years, and they definitely have a competitive advantage. I mean, the vendors which I worked with them in the Taj for about 12, 14 years, it gives me that kind of a price advantage for sure. And that price advantage has to be extended to the ownership, because when you actually calculate the cost which he has incurred in taking the entire project up, it drastically gets reduced when you really are a smart businessman who understands the real-time cost which goes into it, which is both a combination of actual fixed costs and of course the opportunity cost in case of any delay of any projects.
True.
That's
very nice.
What we believe in.
Excellent. We move into Mr. Benjamin to hear about from you on this.
So definitely, with the past experience of almost 3 decades, identified vendors, who can really help in bringing down the cost per key. And it really makes sense to today really focus a lot on making sure that the initial investment is controlled, so that the following years, the operation team is not too overburdened on the ROI expectation of the owners. And unfortunately, in the past, we've seen number of such properties which were, this particular aspect got neglected. And then the operation team goes through a lot of, hell, because, the expectation of the owner is not being able to be met as far as the financial aspects of the hotel on a day-to-day running basis is considered. So yes, we've also focused a lot on making sure that the per key spend is quite controlled. 1, 2, we've identified and we have vendors on board. Also on our team, we have a technical head, we have architect, designer, and a MAP consultant who are making sure, and we've actually negotiated pricing with them, so that the cost of coming up with a project is kept well in control, and that's the value that we add to the owner for tying up with us.
Very
Having
nice.
said that, it's also very important that we keep in mind, as Mehul said, that it is within 6 to 9 months you definitely do the operational profit, but yeah, the break even it takes quite some time. But if we focus on these things in the very initial stage of when a project is being conceptualized, things can work very much in favor of the investing company down the line, flowing down the line, and definitely it can also cut short that period which is required for reaching that break even. So that's very important. Yes, a great amount of focus, and especially of what we are going through today, has to go on to the HLP cost, the payroll cost, the food cost, the beverage cost, and your whatever operating costs that you can control, and whatever means that you can come up with to bring down these costs. That's very, very important. So that's my input on that. Thank you.
Very nice, Mr. Benjamin. Very, very nice. Ankur, moving on to you, about you bringing in all your expert team to help the investor. What's your take on that?
Sir, this is only possible if the investor take a technical advisory from us, what happens generally is that they come and sign up the brand and then go to architect, and architect, if it's a ARR of 3,500 rupees, they make a 65 lakh rupees per key room. The ROI will never come back to you. So what we have done is that we have done a prototype. Like even if you take any of your architect, your key cost will be as per the market. If your market says your cost will be 22,000 rupees only, even if you make a 3-star hotel, it cannot go more than 20 lakh rupees, because ROI in 9 years will not happen if your per key cost and your selling cost is not aligned. So if a person is making a hotel by heart, then he will never get an investment back. If he makes the investment depending on the pricing, the ARR that's going to happen in. It's not about the amenities he has to cut down. It's more about the how he is going to do the cost engineering, and that starts with the day one when he is starting the foothold of the
project
property. Mm-hmm. If he brings up the property, he's already invested 70 lakh rupees, and the market says 2,000 rupees ARR is there. Whatever the brand does, it how good is the operational excellence it is, he is never going to make a ROI. So it is like giving him false hope that in 10 years we're going to break even. We are very upfront. We tell that if you follow a prototype, this is what you have to spend in. If you go overboard, the ROIs will be different, and ROIs get deferred if it's a bank interest is there in what kind of bank interest they have taken in, what kind of how many investors are there. So it depends on a lot of activities that goes back of the end. In case they start with the day one to have a technical assistance team with us, rather than we don't go into purchases, but they follow the roadmap, I'm sure that the return on investment will be there for a business property within 8 years and to 12 years.
Very nice. That's a valid point. Having a team and telling them that, look at, there is a model which is available, which will require only so much of investment with the ARR of so much, and looking at it. That's a very dynamic approach. I think maximum hotels will be taking this route. And that's where I was coming in, that let's bring into the investor that though the crisis has come, but please don't stop investing in the industry. That will create a negative news in the market. So I think that's the right approach. I'm done with my questions, Ravi. I think you can take over now, Ravi, from me.
Yeah. Sorry, gentlemen, I'm in a place where signals are a little bad, so it's been coming back and forth. My apologies for it. So it was a great session indeed, and I guess we will open the forum for Q&A sessions. Vipul and Ajay, you may open the mics in case somebody wants to take any questions directly. So far we have got one question, and this goes to all three of you gentlemen, as to what is the cap that we are trying to put on when it comes to manpower expenses in the post-COVID world. So that means to say we are talking about the hotel is to employee ratio, room is to employee ratio, and see what is the maximum cap that we are trying to put across in terms of GOP percentile. So if you may have understood the question, over to you guys. Thank you so much.
So I'd like to answer this in terms of the overall cost to sales, about 14 to 16%. In terms of ratio for resorts, 1:0.75. For business hotel is about 1:0.6%. That's it. We've
nice.
Under one now. This is the way.
And if you have to put a percent, Mr. Mehul, if you have to put a percent of GOP that you would like to spend as a cap on HR and payroll related expenses.
So in terms, we don't. So how we calculate P&L is purely based on the top line. So we do about 16%. Essentially is allocated as a payroll cost vis-a-vis.
That answers the question of the gentleman who ever asked for it. So thank you so very much. Ankur and Mr. Benjamin, do you have any thoughts on this?
So Mehul has actually given a very right answer. That's where we need to focus on that 14 to 16%, and the manning ratio unfortunately is high presently in number of hotels. It has to be controlled, and I think that's where the management company adds value. So that 1:0.75 or 1:0.60 is a very good ratio that we have to look at, and we need to bring down that ratio. Thank you.
Okay, my second question would be related to this question. Do we think that robotics is the future of hospitality industry post-COVID? Because we have been listening about the stories of people getting robots to serve in restaurants and things like that. What is your thoughts and views incorporation of robotics in hospitality industry?
So,
Well, I would say that.
okay. Sure. Please.
Okay. Okay. What I would say is that it's a hospitality industry is all about human. So we can have a certain aspect to be done through robots, but still the personal touch cannot be forgotten in terms of hotel industry. So I would say that probably back of the end that your technology transformation can happen through robots or through your systems, but still man to man is always about human. That's why it's a hospitality industry. So I don't think so humans can be replaced with robots. Yes, in certain aspects we can cut down cost of technology, but robots can be left aside to our industry. That's my take on it.
Fair
So,
enough.
I'd like to also add to it. See, getting a robot into a hotel is extremely high capex item. It doesn't make sense. What we've done is we've introduced artificial intelligence in back of the house. Any task which was for example, in back of the house, which is payroll, accounting, storekeeping, and all that stuff, it has all been replaced by artificial intelligence through algorithm based.
Interesting.
How we've done is we've created the chatbots. We've created a set of questions which essentially will come in. There are certain specific parameters which has been fed in, and the task which required 3 to 4 people will be done by maximum 1 person. So it overall brings down our.
Interesting.
That's the reason. See, 16% payroll cost is very difficult to achieve, but we know that we've gotten AI system from 24 to 16% is something what we will achieve. Robotics, because that's high capex item, but AI and chatbot only to increase your sales, essentially chatbot to increase your sales, because that directs a lot of customers through your brand website and pushes your sales up. But also in terms of backend, wherever you can use the AI to your advantage in terms of getting your cost down. But of course, I agree with Ankur. In front of us or any of their touch point, we cannot have robots there. That's not how it. But at the back of the house, whatever can be done in terms of must be done, because payroll is one of the very, very heavy costs which really pulls the hotel down. Like sales and marketing, payroll cost, and of course the fixed cost in terms of lease or whatever it is. There are some high cost items, so we need to get those costs down.
Interesting. Great. Any more questions, Vipul? Is there any questions other than this that we have on screen?
That's all, sir. That's all.
Okay. You have any questions to ask the panel?
It was just a lovely and innovative session, sir, from us, from the Servo team, what we are here for. And the technological changes that would be required in the field is much more recognized and will be, I think it will be, in future will be required much.
Great.
And I think South India is one of the part of the country which has already started these type of innovations. Bangalore.
Innovations are happening all across India. That's good to know, Vipul. Yeah, it's happening all across India. And I guess hospitality industry is one industry which adapts to situations very soon. We have seen multiple situations, whether it is 2611 or 911. All of those we have come across it, and we will come across this as well. So thank you so very much, gentlemen. I guess.
Thank you, Ravi and Rupam, for this wonderful session. Thank you, Ravi, and Rupam for this wonderful session. I think very, very pertinent questions, very informative, and I think one of the most interesting sessions which I've been.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mehul. Thank you so much for your time. It was lovely having you here.
And
thank you so much, Mr. Benjamin. Thank you.
Bender, all the very best. If I could be of any help to you, let me know, please.
Sure, Mehul. Let's connect. Definitely. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for having us over. Bye-bye.
Ankur, thank you so very much for joining us. Hope you had a good time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.